the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting has announced that journalists found guilty of writing or broadcasting fake news will have their accreditation withdrawn for a limited period or permanently, depending on the frequency of violations. The ministry said that it has amended the guidelines for accreditation of journalists after increasing instances of fake news that come to its notice. But as NDTV's Akhilesh Sharma asked INB Minister Smriti Irani on the issue, who decides what is fake or not, and about non-accredited journalists spreading fake news, to which she said it was being considered as well. In a press release, the ministry said that the Press Council of India and News Broadcasters Association, the two regulatory bodies for print and television media, will determine whether news is fake or not. And the Congress's Ahmed Patel, in fact, also tweeted saying, "I appreciate the attempt to control fake news, but few questions from my understanding. What is the guarantee that these rules will not be misused to harass honest reporters? Who is going to decide what constitutes fake news? Is it not possible that motivated complaints will be filed to suspend accreditation until inquiry is on? What is the guarantee that these guidelines will check fake news, or it is an attempt to prevent genuine reporters from reporting on uncomfortable questions?" Replying to Ahmed Patel, Smriti Irani tweeted, whether a news article broadcast is fake or not will be determined by the Press Council and the National Broadcasters Association, both of whom I'm sure you know are not controlled or operated by the Government of India. And Nimisha Jaiswal is now joining us for more on this and how the media community is responding to this. Nimisha, the Press Club of India is holding an emergency meeting, we believe, of journalists today to discuss the government's latest moves. What more do we know at this point?
That's right, Harvees. The Press Club has called for a meeting this evening to discuss this notification that was put out late last night after 9 p.m. And what the notification does point out, and what Smriti Irani also points out in her tweet, is that as bodies that are not government bodies are meant to be responding to these, are meant to be analyzing these fake news complaints, this means that the government will not be controlling these complaints or the removal of accreditation of these journalists, or, the National Broadcasting Association and the Press Council of India. But it is also worth noting that the quantum of punishment that is being defined right now has been put out by the Press Information Bureau, which is a government body, and there are different measures of punishment. So once the fake news complaint has been confirmed by either the NBA or the PCI, the first offense would lead to a 6-month suspension, the second violation would lead to a 1-year suspension, and the third violation would lead to a permanent disaccreditation of that journalist. But even as soon as the complaint is filed, that accreditation will be suspended. So the moment somebody files a complaint, before the NBA or the PCI can even say if it's fake or not, for those first 15 days, immediately that journalist's accreditation can be suspended. The Press Information Bureau has not made it clear how it would be prevented that complainants just out to get a journalist suspended for 15 days might not misuse this. Again, they're required to deliver a decision within 15 days, but how would they ensure, depending on how frequently these complaints come in, if this can be delivered within 15 days or not? Now, we're looking to confirm this, but at least preliminary, it seems that the NBA was not consulted to ensure, to figure out these measures. We are waiting to find out more about this, but how exactly the Press Information Bureau is also looking to define fake news. What is fake news? What about an investigative piece that one reporter or one news organization has? If it cannot be verified by other news organizations, how will you identify if that is news that has been accessed exclusively, or is it fake? All this is still murky and definitely can be viewed and is being viewed by many journalists as a way to gag those who might be speaking in a way that makes some uncomfortable.
Absolutely, Nimisha. Some very important questions there being raised by the media community and that press club meeting today as well, to ensure that none of this is misused against journalists. Now, we also spoke to several journalists. We spoke to Jyoti Malhotra, senior journalist, as well on this.
I did see Smriti Irani, the minister's reaction to this. And as for her saying that the Press Council as well as the NBA are going to be responsible, well, first of all, let me say it's that her ministry which is the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting, they are the ones who have decided that the Press Council and the NBA will be responsible or supposedly in charge. Now, second of all, how is anybody who is an accredited journalist to the Government of India, which means that his or her experience has been taken into account, they have worked in legitimate news organizations, and they are going to be charged with fake news if something like this comes up. But all the fake news outlets that we see online, for example, the True Picture, which, by the way, Smriti Irani has tweeted herself a day or so ago, which claims to bust 4 news stories. And let me just say to you, Gargi, that at least a couple of those news stories, and one of them, which was reported by my newspaper, which is the Indian Express, about the Foreign Secretary and the Dalai Lama, that is a true news story. And Smriti Irani is quoting this web portal called the True Picture, which has called this news story a fake news story. Now, are we saying that if Smriti Irani is herself tweeting about or is tweeting in support of a web portal, which is allegedly claiming something which is completely untrue? Now, how can a minister like this lend her name, lend the weight of her ministry to something like this? So should the True Picture, which is a web portal which is promoting fake news, should it also be part of this so-called new law that Smriti Irani has just unleashed upon us?